Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. Today I'm going to walk you through every phase of the usage, care, and maintenance of the Bell & Ross vintage BRV293 GMT. It's important to note that this is an automatic winding watch by means of the case-back winding rotor, but should you wish to energize the watch by manual means, you can wind it manually. Take the crown from its position threaded into its stem tube assembly, twist it counterclockwise until you feel and hear it pop. Now the crown is in the winding position. Turn 25 to 35 turns to start the beating of the balance, and you'll note that the seconds hand starts to advance. And now you can set the time, set the date, and put the watch on the wrist, and the natural course of kinetic action on the wrist will cause the winding rotor to move and energize the timepiece. But should you wish to wind the watch up to its maximum rated power reserve of approximately 40 hours, you can do so by turning the crown and listening for the subtle tick or click of the bridle-style mainspring slipping in the barrel. This is by design. It slips to relieve excess strain so you cannot accidentally overwind the timepiece. But if you can't quite hear, the rule of thumb is 45 to 50 turns of the crown in a clockwise direction. There are a number of ways to set this GMT-style watch. We're going to talk about the quick set function for the date first. When you turn the crown in its intermediate position between winding and stop seconds, so you'll feel 1 to 10 as you pull it out, you turn the crown in a counterclockwise direction and you rapidly cycle the date. Never use this function between 9 p.m. and 3 a.m. as that is the automatic changeover zone, the danger zone, during which you should not attempt to use the quick set date. You will damage the watch if you use the quick set during this period, so always be sure to get out of that zone. If you're not sure whether you're looking at 9 p.m. or 9 a.m., roll it through midnight, roll it all the way around through one date change, and then past 3 a.m. just to be sure. Now you pull the crown to its outermost position, and now the crown is in set mode or stop seconds. The best way to use this is to stop the seconds hand at the index at 12. Then find an accurate reference such as an online atomic clock set to your time zone, and you want to set the watch to the current hour. Let's say it is 6:09. Well, you want to set the watch to 6, but you want to set the minute hand to 10. Now you wait for that reference time, which will be no more than a minute behind you, and you wait for it to catch up, and at the moment that hours, minutes, and seconds on the clock and the watch are perfectly matched, you press the crown back down, you resume the beat of the balance, now you've synchronized to a reference time. There is another setting function that is engaged in the intermediate crown position. Rather than turning counterclockwise to activate the quick set date, we're going to turn clockwise, and we're going to jump the second independent time zone, a 24-hour hand. We're going to jump it in 1-hour increments. And remember, this is done in the intermediate position by turning clockwise. It's important to note that the 12-hour hand at center is the one that regulates the date. So you can roll that 24-hour hand as many times as you want around the dial. It's not going to change the date. The date is keyed to the broadsword style 12-hour hand. Now you will note as I turn the crown and I adjust that orange arrow, it is a true 24-hour circuit, so it makes one full circuit of the dial for every 24-hour cycle. Now the watch can be used to tell 3 time zones concurrently, but you have to set the orange arrow index to Greenwich Mean Time. Now let's say it is 24 hours, so I have my orange index set to Greenwich Mean Time, and it is 24 hours or exactly 12 a.m. in Greenwich, England, the international standard from which all time zones are measured. Well, I'm going to travel to New York, so as I am a pilot flying into LaGuardia Airport, I know that my GMT offset is -5 compared to Greenwich Mean Time. I can set the hands, the 12-hour hands, to any time I like, but I'm looking at my GMT arrow. I'm going to set 1, 2, that's 1 right there, 2, that's 2 right there, 3, 4, 5, and now I know that at LaGuardia Airport, my arrival time is going to be 19 hours. So in other words, I'm looking at 7 the previous night. That's how you use the 24-hour bezel, which is bidirectional and features a day and a night semicircle to gauge a separate time zone than either of the time zones read on the date, or I should say on the dial. That is how you read the third time zone using the bezel. Now, if I'd been looking at a time zone that was several hours ahead, for instance, I'm looking at Paris time, well, then I turn the crown in the opposite direction, 1 hour ahead. Now I know that it is 12 a.m., midnight, in Greenwich, and in Paris, it is 1 a.m. the next morning. Now let's talk a little bit about handling restrictions for the watch. So first things first, water, magnetism, and shock. You're going to have to cope with them while wearing and owning your watch, and all are significant threats, but the threat can be mitigated. First and foremost, water. The best thing you can do is always keep the crown threaded down and secure, unused for winding or setting when you are exposing the watch to water, submerging the watch, or even when there's water on the case. Until the watch is completely dry, keep that crown threaded down to avoid accidental drownings. This timepiece is water resistant to 100 meters per Bell & Ross, which makes it sufficient for aquatic activity, but note this is a bidirectional GMT bezel, not a dive bezel, so this is not a dive watch per the ISO 6425. However, it is swimmable. Water resistance is not a static feature of a watch, and over time, as seals age and lubricants degrade, the timepiece will be relatively less water resistant than when it left the factory, so Bell & Ross recommends at minimum every 24 months having your watch dry water tested with a Bell & Ross authorized service center. This is a good time to have the holistic condition of your watch assessed, cosmetic condition, water resistance, as well as chronometric precision. It's also important to note that your watch can be exposed to magnetism, which is a silent killer of precision. You see the beating balance at the heart of your watch. There is a ferrous hairspring within it that can become magnetized. Now, there is always the concern that a watch running erratically, either very slow or very fast, may have become magnetized, and if you suspect this, take it to your authorized Bell & Ross service center where specialized equipment is available to quickly and easily demagnetize your timepiece. Concussion and shock, however, can cause more permanent damage. At minimum, concussion can alter the timing precision of your watch. At worst, it can damage the movement so that it stops or even shatter the crystal. So keep your watch disused during batting, tennis, golf, firearms marksmanship, or the riding of mountain bikes and ATVs. Ultimately, Bell & Ross advises that every fine timepiece should have a comprehensive overhaul every 3 to 5 years. This is important because your mechanical movement is going to need oiling, regulation, adjustment, and attention. Just as the case is going to require refinishing to factory appearance, and the water resistance is going to require restoration to the factory hermeticity. Service exclusively with Bell & Ross authorized service centers or the factory itself, as these agencies solely have access to the trained personnel, factory replacement parts from Bell & Ross, and the specialized tools to protect the value of your watch as both instrument and as investment. Moreover, only these agencies are authorized to back all labor and parts invested with a Bell & Ross factory service warranty. Finally, visit our website at govbergwatches.com, and our experts are only an email, a call, or a text away from walking you through every phase of the usage and ownership of this or any Bell & Ross fine timepiece.